She had the skill, the knowledge, and the confidence to solve a problem no one else could. But when a millionaire CEO rolled up in his $600,000 Ferrari, he didn't see a professional. He saw someone he thought was beneath him. In front of a crowded Beverly Hills showroom, he mocked her expertise, certain she could never touch his luxury machine. What he didn't know was that this so-called mistake would become the turning point of his career, his reputation, and his entire life. Because days later, the world would see her brilliance and his downfall. Imani Wells was no ordinary mechanic. At just 29, she had built a reputation most professionals only dream of. Raised in her grandfather's small garage, she could recognize the sound of an engine problem the way a musician recognizes a wrong note. Her passion led her to Harvard, where she earned a degree in mechanical engineering before joining the elite Aston Martin racing team. Years later, she opened her workshop, Wells Precision Motors, where the waiting list stretched for months. Despite her achievements, the world often saw something different. To some, she wasn't the Harvard graduate or the racing engineer. She was simply a young black woman with grease on her hands. And in industries built on prestige and status, that perception carried weight. One afternoon, her path crossed with Christopher Hale, a wealthy CEO with a taste for luxury cars and an ego to match. He arrived at Grand Lux Motors, Beverly Hills, in his prized Ferrari Portofino, convinced no one but the best deserved to touch it. Imani noticed the subtle misalignment in the engine almost instantly, a fix she knew would take minutes. But Hale didn't see her expertise. He saw someone he could dismiss. And in that moment, a storm was set in motion. One that would strip him of everything and reveal just how powerful true skill can be. The moment Imani explained the problem, a misalignment between the turbo and fuel injection, Christopher Hale erupted into laughter. His voice echoed through the Beverly Hills showroom, sharp and mocking, as if her words were nothing more than a bad joke. Heads turned. Customers, employees, and curious onlookers paused, drawn to the spectacle. To them, it looked like an arrogant CEO putting a young mechanic in her place. Christopher made sure of it, exaggerating every laugh, making comments about how he'd never let someone like her lay a finger on his $600,000 Ferrari. He relished the attention, feeding off the smirks and whispers of those around him. Imani stood tall, refusing to shrink under the weight of his humiliation. Her years of experience told her she was right, but her heart knew that no degree, no resume, and no waiting list of wealthy clients could erase the prejudice in his eyes. To him, her identity, her gender, her race, her very presence invalidated her expertise. Christopher rejected her offer, demanding instead that the technicians at Grand Lux Motors handle the repair. For days, they worked, running tests, replacing parts, and billing Hale with mounting costs. But the problem only grew worse. The once sleek Ferrari began to choke and falter, the repair estimate climbing to $250,000. Meanwhile, someone inside the showroom had filmed the original encounter. A short clip of Christopher mocking Imani spread online like wildfire. Within hours, it was shared across social media. Hashtags calling out sexism, racism, and arrogance. Comments poured in. Strangers applauded Imani's calm confidence. Others blasted Christopher for his ignorance and condescension. The video passed 500,000 views in less than a week. As the Ferrari languished, Christopher's reputation crumbled. Clients pulled contracts. Investors whispered about liability. Even his insurance company refused to cover the damage, citing negligence. His wealth and power, once untouchable, suddenly seemed fragile. But while Christopher scrambled to contain the fallout, Imani's world shifted in the opposite direction. Engineers from Ferrari headquarters saw the viral clip and were stunned by her instant diagnosis. To them, her ability wasn't just skill, it was brilliance. They reached out, offering her a contract worth millions, not only to consult on their vehicles but to bring her diagnostic method to their global team. The irony was sharp. The very company Christopher idolized now recognized the genius he had mocked. And amid his unraveling empire, a call was made. Ferrari would send their newest consultant to inspect Christopher's car. He welcomed the news with relief, imagining a suited European engineer arriving to rescue his prized machine. But what he didn't know, what he couldn't even imagine, was that the person Ferrari trusted most was the same woman he had humiliated in front of the world. And soon she would stand before him again. Christopher Hale stood in the service bay, his nerves frayed after weeks of failed repairs and mounting losses. The Ferrari that once symbolized his power now sat lifeless, a monument to his arrogance. Relief washed over him when Ferrari's official consultant finally arrived. This was his chance to save face, to reclaim control. But when the doors opened, his breath caught. It wasn't the Italian engineer he imagined. It was Imani Wells, dressed in an immaculate Ferrari uniform, flanked by a representative from the corporation itself. For a moment, the entire room froze. The same mechanic he had mocked in front of the world now walked toward his car with calm authority. Christopher's face drained of color. The humiliation was instant, a flood of whispers rippling through the staff and customers. Cameras lifted, phones recording every second. He wanted to protest, to demand someone else, but the Ferrari representative's words cut off his escape. "This is our consultant. She's here to fix your car." Imani didn't gloat. She didn't even acknowledge his shame. Instead, she went straight to work. Within minutes, her hands moved with precision, adjusting what no one else could even identify. The engine roared back to life, smoother and stronger than when it left the factory floor. The crowd erupted, astonished. Christopher stood paralyzed, his empire unraveling before him. In that moment, he wasn't the powerful CEO, the man of wealth and status. He was the fool who mocked brilliance and tried to bury talent he couldn't comprehend. For Imani, it was more than a repair. It was vindication. The world was watching, and the story that had begun with laughter now ended with silence. A silence heavier than any words Christopher could ever muster. And yet, this was not the end. What came next would change both of their lives forever. News of Imani's triumph spread far beyond that Beverly Hills showroom. The viral clip that once showed her humiliation has now transformed into a global symbol of resilience. Within weeks, Ferrari expanded her contract, doubling its value and implementing her diagnostic method in factories worldwide. She became the face of innovation, invited to conferences, honored with awards, and celebrated as a pioneer. At just 29, she had rewritten what it meant to be recognized in an industry built to exclude voices like hers. For Christopher Hale, the downfall was swift and merciless. His company's stock plummeted, investors fled, and within months, he was forced to resign. The mansion, the cars, the symbols of untouchable wealth, all vanished. The man who once mocked a woman for daring to know more than him now lived in obscurity, reduced to watching her speeches on borrowed screens. But the real victory was never about contracts or titles. It was about exposure, exposing the prejudice that had tried to silence her, exposing how quickly arrogance crumbles when confronted with undeniable skill. Imani's story became more than her own. It became a mirror reflecting a truth too many live every day: that competence has no color and brilliance knows no gender. For every Imani, there are countless others still waiting to be seen, waiting for a chance not clouded by bias. And for every Christopher, there's a lesson, a reminder that dismissing someone because of who they are is the fastest way to reveal your weakness. So the question is this: how many more stories like Imani's will it take before talent is recognized without prejudice? And when the next moment arrives, will we choose to laugh or to listen? What do you think? Was Christopher's downfall exactly what he deserved? Or was Imani's success the greater revenge? If the story moved you, hit that like button and share it so more people hear her message. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories that reveal the truth behind injustice.